Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Somewhere in the world, the USA Global TV and Radio Network is live. And this is I'm red.olaughlin, and we're on the Food and Emotions show this week. The primary purpose of this show is to take a look at food, and one of the places that food really comes into our attention is when we diet. We have a normal lifestyle. Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm really sorry about that. Dr. Jacalyn normally joins me on the show. Today, she is the production engineer. She's behind the scenes, behind the green screen, pulling all the buttons and whistles and knobs and dials and ropes. Anyway, she's making everything happen behind the stage. And so I just want to make sure that we got a plug in for her today. So getting back to our normal eating, we eat every day. It's one of those things that we know about. In fact, we even have a habit. It's the things that we have. We get up in the morning and for whatever reason, we're hungry. Well, are you really hungry or are you dehydrated? And if you develop a habit of getting up in the morning and having cereal, toast, pastry, whatever it is, all of a sudden you're starting your day out with a particular kind of food. And we know that when you want to lose weight, one of the things that prevents you from losing weight is insulin. When you have something that's a carbohydrate, your body's going to produce insulin. And so if you have a meal and there's a fair amount of carbohydrates in it, that's going to last a while because that carbohydrate processing in the body requires insulin. If you have a little snack down the road and there's some carbohydrates in that, boom, you're back out of the ability of your body to switch from burning blood sugar, your glycogen, your blood glucose, into burning ketones. In other words, that's the fat around your gut. And that's what we're trying to do when we're dieting. We're trying to lose a little bit of weight. Well, we've compared several diets here over the last several weeks. We've looked at the Mediterranean diet. We've looked at Atkins. We looked at, to a degree, the standard American diet in comparison. And Weight Watchers was another one. We have several more we're going to do. This is going to be at least a dozen individual diets that we're going to talk about. And we're looking for, what are they? Why are they there? Why do people like them? Are they effective? And those are the kinds of things that we're looking at. Well, today, our primary focus is on Nutrisystem. Hard to believe, but Nutrisystem has been around for over 50 years, started back in 1972. And it started out and is still pretty much the same way. It's providing prepackaged foods that's delivered to your door, and it essentially eliminates your need, my need, whoever the receiver of these foods, in order to do meal preparation, go out and buy food, prep it. I call it mise en place. It's what I do when I start putting together and cutting up a little batch of stuff here so that when I get ready to cook, I grab this, I grab that. Everything's prepped and ready to go. But the prepping is a big deal. In fact, I think sometimes the prepping takes longer to do than the cooking. In fact, I know it does in some meals because my daughter just had her birthday, 53rd birthday yesterday, and we had Mongolian barbecue in celebration. And one of the parts of Mongolian barbecue is there's a whole host of vegetables and oils and meats. And so by the time you get finished cutting everything up and you go out to the grill and you put it on there, it takes a lot longer to prep than it does to cook. And maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. Regardless, doesn't matter. Let's get back to where we're going. Nutrisystem. The Nutrisystem gives you individual meals. They're portion controlled. And portion control means that I don't have to worry about how much food is on the plate, how many calories are there, and what size do I need? A full baked potato, half a baked potato? What do I need? Well, these things come prepackaged to you. That's all taken. You don't have to worry about it. It's a done deal. Now, some people may have a problem with that. We'll get into it a little bit later on. But portion control is fairly easy to do just by yourself. If you're using a regular size plate, change it out for a salad plate. Put everything on a salad plate that you're going to have. You're going to be forced to have smaller samples, smaller portions of each individual component on the plate to get it there. But the big thing about using a salad plate is don't go back for seconds, because the whole purpose of changing to a smaller plate is that you actually eat less food, fewer calories. And then the detriment is if you don't know what to balance with regard to the different nutrients that you have, that could be a problem, because that's what we've been doing all our lives. We go in there, okay, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that. But I'll look at the plate and there's nothing green on it at all. There's nothing in there to indicate yellows or reds or oranges or any other color. Everything is a color of meat and potatoes or somewhere in between. But with Nutrisystem, they take that dilemma away and give you a meal that's already structured for your plan. And whether you're a male or a female, young or old, diabetic, vegetarian, they accommodate various lifestyles. So if you're a diabetic man, 45 years of age, they're going to be sending you food in proportions structured to meet the demands of your needs. There's a fairly good variety with it. I've looked at several of them. I'm not a big carbohydrate person. I try to err on the side of less carbs than more. Now, that doesn't mean that I can't sit there and have 4 or 5 pieces of garlic toast, and I do. I did yesterday. But there's also one of those things in the back of my mind that I know on any single meal, any one day of the week, I can pick out and have all the Italian food, all the pasta, all the rice, all of the things that I need in order to say meet my craving. But if I meet that craving every single meal, then my plan of just celebrating once every 10 days, 2 weeks kind of goes awry. And now I start gaining weight again because I'm not paying attention to what I'm eating. But there's also a lot, as with most of these diets, we're seeing Weight Watchers and the other ones. Anytime you have a program like a Nutrisystems, you're going to have a support group, online tracking, weigh-ins, whatever it may happen to be. There's some level of accountability. And when you have accountability, that makes a difference, a big, big difference. Now, the big thing that I see right up front is it costs somebody to deliver these meals. In other words, I'm paying out of my pocket money. Well, I'm not spending it at the grocery store. So is that a fair trade? It might be, depending on how much I'm spending at the grocery store. If it's just me and the amount of food that I buy, healthy or not, is, let's say, $50 a week, and I'm eating everything at home, well, maybe I can't live on $50 a week. Maybe I need more than that. But I know that when I go to the store, it used to be before COVID, I could get out of the store for well under $100. I'm finding it more and more difficult to get out of the store for less than $100. But Nutrisystem, as I priced it 2 nights ago, it was looking at, now you're looking at basically $300 depending on what plan you're on, and it can go up significantly higher than that. So if I'm looking at $300, $400 or more dollars, is that going to cut into my diet, my normal lifestyle of buying and fixing and whatever? And I think that's maybe a concern. That's a lot of money. If I'm going out eating every day, 3 meals a day, 2 meals a day, yeah, I'm probably going to be spending that much or more, because I can't find a meal anymore that you can literally get for less than $10. My wife and I eat a lot together, and we'll go out and split a meal. And even then, it's hard to find something under $20 for 2 people, even splitting one meal. If you're having 2 meals, you're $30, $40 before you turn around. That's for one meal. So the cost depends on your financial situation. If that's what you want, it meets your needs. You don't have to worry about prepping. You don't have to worry about going to the store. You just go there. Okay, I'm going to have this today. Then the cost is a non area. So that's a possible area. It seems like the Nutrisystem has a fair degree of satisfaction for the people who are using it. That is something that I do look at is how does this particular diet work with the people who use it? If it's something that's onerous, you're not going to stay with it. You may stay with it a week or two, or you see a little bit of weight loss, boom, and then you're gone. But for people who have been involved with this thing for a while, I think that any kind of diet that you want to lose weight, you really need to be doing for an absolute minimum of 3 months. Now, why do I say that? Well, if you're looking at something that's gradually shifting weight off, you may end up losing, let's say, 6, 8 pounds, boom, and then you're in a plateau. And that is very discouraging. I've been there many times. The whole aspect of being able to lose weight is I want to lose weight. I want to see that stuff coming off the calendar, off the scale. But sometimes when you're plateauing, you're actually losing fat. So if you're not measuring, your arm, your neck, your waist, whatever it may happen to be, where that extra fat is residing, maybe you are losing something. Maybe those pants are a little looser. Maybe you're pulling the belt a little notch tighter. And so there's a reason for that, and your body's adjusting because for years you've eaten a certain way. Now all of a sudden you changed. Yeah, for a couple of meals, body doesn't really care. But in some cases, it begins to care because now I'm eating less food, less calories. I need to readjust everything. My metabolism's coming back around to autocorrect. I need to balance everything out, and that's where that plateau happens. So that is an issue. But if you stick it out and say, okay, I am going to be on this diet from 1 September to 1 October, that's 30, to 1 November, that's 60, to 1 December, that's 90 days. I know where I am. I am going to religiously eat this food. I'm going to stick with whatever plan it says with regard to exercise or times to eat or whatever it may have to be. Stick with that particular goal, no matter which diet you choose. Stick with it for 90 days. Somewhere around 21 to 30 days, your body's going to make that full change. Maybe one of the best things to do is don't get on the scale. That's a really good thing to do. I would say if I were starting a new diet and I wanted 90 days of absolute dedication, I would take my measurements, my neck, my arm, wherever I have that extra loose fat at that I want to get rid of. Because where it's at, it took a long time to get there. Plus, where you want to lose it at is not going to happen. I lose weight around my neck faster than I lose weight anywhere else on my body. For whatever reason, that's where I lose weight first. And when you have a measurement, so, okay, on September 1st, I had these 3 or 4 or 5 measurements. Don't worry about it. Maybe you do a 30-day and a 60-day and a 90-day, see where you are. You get on the scale at 30 days, 60 days, and 90. Don't worry about what the readings are. Stick to the plan. That was your goal, is to lose weight, to become healthier, have lower blood pressure, lower triglycerides, whatever the plan was when you started this diet, that's what you're trying to do. Now, we talked about the South Beach diet last week, and the whole purpose of that plan was cardiovascular health. The plan for this one is to lose weight, but also to become a little bit healthier. So if I'm looking at things, yes, people experience functional weight loss on this one. Sometimes it's a couple pounds a week. Sometimes it's a little bit more. Generally speaking, you'll find at the very beginning of any diet, you're going to lose a little bit of weight, maybe 4, 5, 6, 8 pounds that first week, 10 days. Then all of a sudden, things stabilize a little bit. When I was on Atkins, I lost a horrendous amount of weight. Quick. I mean, it was like 3, 4 months. I'm down 7 inches of my waist. Boom. I'm happy. I love what I'm doing. But sometimes you switch over to something else and all of a sudden that weight drops 6 pounds. Boom, I'm down. And then all of a sudden it's a half a pound a week or something like that. It just really sort of depends. But your body had a certain profile that it was eating in. Now all of a sudden your profile is over here. And not only that, it's a little smaller. Your body has to adjust. So if you can get through that doldrum area of that adjustment, where now your body is actually expecting and eating the foods that you choose, then you'll probably be a whole lot better. Accountability makes a lot of things happen. So when I look at something like this, what are the benefits? Well, weight loss, portion control, awareness, education, um, more balanced nutrition, probably because they're the scientists, the researchers at Nutrisystem have figured out what somebody needs. When I put my wife on the Walls protocol, the main focus there was the fact balanced nutrition for over 30 nutrients the body needs on a daily basis. That was one of the main focus areas that I had for that particular. It wasn't a diet; it was really a lifestyle change. But if I take a look at what are some of the, do I have any health concerns with Nutrisystem? Well, anytime you have packaged foods, and I'm not, even if you're making your own, I go to the store, I get a really good deal on meats. I'll buy them, I'll come home, vacuum pack them, put them in the freezer. That's not what I'm talking about, packaged foods. I'm talking about something that comes in a box that somebody else has already prepared. It's made in a large kitchen or warehouse. They've cooked the foods, they portion controlled them, they vacuum sealed them, whatever they've done, it comes in some kind of package. You look at the ingredients, and lo and behold, there's 10, 15, 20 things, maybe a good portion of them you can't read because they're in some really technical chemical terminology or the names you can't even pronounce. That is processed food. What have we learned about processed food in this particular show and on the show I did on Talking Heads with regard to obesity in the United States? This diet started in 1972, but the obesity epidemic started a few years later, about 1976. What happened during that middle 70s was that the United States switched over several things, and one of which was the ability to ultra process foods. Ultra processed foods, UPF, was one of those things. Now we have packaged foods, bottled foods, canned foods. Everything's coming in a package. That package is processed with extra sugar, high fructose corn syrup, extra salt, extra preservatives. Almost every preservative we put in a food nowadays has some level of toxin associated with it. So when you start looking at the foods coming from a package, yeah, they look pretty, they look bright colored, but it's the preservatives and the other ingredients in there that make them taste better. Particularly something you put in your mouth, my goodness, that tastes so good. It's the unctuousness, the creaminess. That is an additive that is specifically put in there. The one that comes to my mind immediately is Kerbeck. It's a additive that's put in a lot of ice creams, and it really does make that ice cream taste so much better. But there's also some health concerns with it. There's a lot of research out there that says Kerbeck is a carcinogen. Regardless, is it not? There are a lot of other toxic chemicals. If you have something in there that's a bright color, stands out, chances are an artificial color has been added to it. And I'm not sure there's any artificial colors that don't have some level of toxicity to them, regardless. So processed foods is the number one health concern that I have with Nutrisystem and any packaged food. It doesn't make any difference what it is. Now, if I'm relying totally on prepackaged foods for all of my nutrition, if all I'm doing is eating the same 3 meals, 2 meals a day, and that's all I do, I don't go with variety. Maybe I like this meat and potatoes, just to pick a particular meal. And I have meat and potatoes twice a day, and I have coffee for breakfast. I then have a nutrient balance problem. The program is set up where there's variety so you can choose and have some non-boring foods periodically, not eating the same thing. But the whole thing is if you start choosing the same things every single day, now we have a problem. The long-term sustainability is another issue with regard. Can you eat the same thing for 30 days in a row, 60 days in a row? If you're finding difficulty at 2 weeks, chances are at 2 months, you're not going to be eating the same thing. We have habits, and sometimes habits are fairly easy to change. I found the habit of changing to Atkins super simple. I loved it. Everything that I loved was on that diet. There was a few things that I loved that wasn't on the diet. I thought I was going to have a whole lot of problem with pasta. I love pasta, but I didn't. I had no craving for pasta while I was on Atkins, but I had a craving for bread, unbelievable craving for bread. which I really didn't realize I had before. But if I'm on this particular Nutrisystem diet and I have a craving for something, and I got okay, let me go here and have, let me say, a piece of garlic toast just to pick something out that I had yesterday. Well, if all I did was just bite and take one bite of it and let that sit in my mouth and let me savor it a little bit, let me really and truly enjoy it, maybe that's all I need is just that one bite. And if you could do that, you're fine. You're really and truly in that zone where I can eat on this diet, but when I have that craving for maybe just a dollop of ice cream or something else that is really not on the diet, but I'm doing it just to satisfy that craving that I have, then I can live on that because that little amount is not going to make a difference. Uh, Now, Nutrisystem is supposed to help you focus in on exactly what you need. As I mentioned, a male diabetic, 45 years of age. If you're a 35-year-old vegan, each of these diets that Nutrisystem works for you, each of these food processing and whatever, that's set up in advance so that you're getting something that's going to sustain your lifestyle. So I think from a personalization perspective, if you're fairly honest with them about who you are, what you want, what your goals are, you're going to get exactly what you want. I think you're going to get a good product. I don't have a problem with that. Uh, like I say, they're designed to be a portion control. They follow a balanced nutrition per se. I don't particularly, I have a bias a little bit about too many carbohydrates in a food. I am one of those people. I prefer 20 grams or less, certainly less than 50 grams. But if you look at the package, look at the serving size. In many cases, we buy a package of something. We don't look at the serving size. We look and says, oh, 5 grams of carbohydrates. That's no big deal. Well, are the carbohydrates a fiber? Are they something else? You need to know a little bit more about the label. But if there's 7 servings in that one package and you gobble that whole package up thinking it's a one serving, now you have 35 grams of carbohydrates. That's a big difference over 5. So part of any kind of healthy change in our life is learning how to read the labels on your food. And so when I look at Nutrisystem, I think it's, if they're doing balanced nutrition, you're going to end up, to me, probably a little bit more on the carb side than you need, maybe a little bit more on the snack side than you need. But I think it's purpose driven for you to lose weight, to establish a better understanding of portion control and a better understanding of these are the right foods and the right quantities to eat. So if you're eating the same thing day after day with a different kind of food group on the plate, you're going to used to seeing, well, I only need that much or that much or that much. So that when you get off the diet and now you're back preparing your own foods, you don't need to fill up a third of the plate with a particular kind of food. It took me a long time to go from eating, I'm being facetious, 16-ounce steak, down to a 6-ounce fillet. A lot of difference between the two. A lot of different calories involved in that. But sometimes we get a plate and we want to see it full. But I go into a restaurant now, I'm not looking for the best bet for my dollars. I'm looking more at what amount of food is on the plate. I also go in with the idea that whatever I have on that plate, I want to be able to take half or a third of it and eat, take the rest home. Now I have 1 or 2 meals left at the house. So I may spend, let's say, $35 for a really nice meal for myself at a restaurant. But if I break it down, it's 2 meals. Well, there's $17 a meal. I break it down to 3 meals. Now it's $12 a meal. But I have the exact same restaurant quality meal in a doggy bag in my refrigerator that I can heat up with whatever else I need to do. But as I'm looking at Nutrisystem, I think it compares reasonably well to Weight Watchers, maybe not as well to Mediterranean diet, certainly not as well to Atkins because there's a carbohydrate function in there that's missing in the Atkins. But I compare it to the standard American diet. Yeah, I definitely give it 2 thumbs up compared to the standard American diet because it's not what we should be eating. There are too many omega-6 fatty acids, too much salt, too many preservatives, too many of this, too many of that, not enough balance. Lots of things wrong with the standard American diet, a lot of unhealthy fats, a lot of added sugars, just way, way, way too many things. So if I start looking at, is this a good way to start weight loss. Yeah, I'd have to say yes. I'd give one thumbs up for the methodology. It's teaching me what, how much, and when to eat. It's giving me what I would consider pretty decent food choices, but everything's coming packaged to me. I'm not out there in the store learning how to buy something by looking at labels, learning how to buy something because it's fresh, learning how to ignore some of the labels on the front of the packaging and go straight to the back of the box or the side of the box and see what's really in here. But if I'm looking at Nutrisystems for weight loss, for some level of health, yeah, I'd say it definitely delivers. There's no doubt in my mind that it does that. So the aspect of Nutrisystem being better than the standard American diet, absolutely. I think there's some pluses and minuses compared to the other primary ones, Mediterranean, Atkins, Weight Watchers, etc. But how sustainable is this over time? If I'm going to be eating, let's say I have a choice of a dozen packaged foods that I can mix and match on my 7 days a week. Well, maybe this week I have 8 out of this dozen. Next week I have a different 8, and then 4 of them. I have some level of variety. But with most things that we do, we have habits. Oh, you know something? Their meatloaf tasted really good. I'm going to have that again. I'm going to order that again. And so we start sub-optimizing our food choices based on our taste, based on our likes. I'm not much on asparagus. That's not my. That's me. I'm not anything on the cruciferous vegetables. So if they're on a plate, I don't take them. Just one of those things I don't do. So the Nutrisystem, I think, provides a good structure. I think it's sustainable. Again, if you can afford the amount of money that whatever program you're on, and for the low end, probably 300. For the upper end, a bit more than that. If that meets your lifestyle, it meets your budget, go for it. But again, look at that goal as being 90 days. Even if you lost your weight, part of the thing is not just losing the weight; it's keeping that weight off. And if you're on a, if you make your weight level there in 45 days, and I don't need to be on this for another 45. Yes, your goal was set 90 days. Stay on it, because part of what you're learning is the the ability to be consistent in knowing how much of what kinds of foods to eat. Nutrisystem is going to give it to you. Then when you get off Nutrisystem, you should be able to say, well, okay, that's how much I need of that chicken breast meat, or that's how much I need of a pork chop, or whatever it may happen to be that you're eating. Those are things that are going to be ingrained in your brain after 90 days. So I think there's a lot to be said for the convenience of Nutrisystem. No doubt in my mind about that. I think the portion control and uh, nu- nutrient balance is laudable. I think there's a little bit too many carbs, but that's just a personal opinion. For a lot of people, they're not used to eating less than 10 grams or less than 20 grams of carbs a day. It's difficult for somebody with a lot of dietary discipline to achieve 10 grams or less a day. It's one of those things that's difficult to do. I think the variety is there. I think the support's there for that particular program. Uh, why don't people, why do people quit? Well, sometimes they quit because of the expense. What started out as a good program, all of a sudden I got a car repair I got to do. All of a sudden, oh, my electric bill is $50 more than it was last. Things happen. Our budgets sometimes change. Doesn't matter what it is. Somebody, your daughter calls you up on the phone. She needs something for her, whatever. It doesn't matter. All of a sudden, your disposable cash is not there. So expense might be a reason why you start it and don't finish the 90 days. Um, some people have a, let's say, a meat and potato attitude, and all of a sudden potatoes are not there in the way that I want. I want mashed potatoes, but I don't get it in my meals. I'm not saying the Nutrisystem doesn't provide that. I'm just saying we have a mindset, and when I'm restricted from having something, that becomes a problem. That is a major issue with regard to why I don't stay on something. Well, they didn't allow me to have my pasta or my garlic bread or my ice cream or whatever. But I told you, all you need is that one bite. You don't need, let's say that I really need a Snickers bar. I'm seeing it in the store. I smell it. I can taste it. Fine. One bite, put it in the refrigerator, have another bite tomorrow or the next day. Don't have 5 bites where you eat the whole bar in one day. Don't eat 2 or 3 days in a row of your Snickers bar. have that one bite, savor it, enjoy it, let it just permeate your body. Okay, fine. You've met that fix. Put it away. You can have it later, not tomorrow, but you can have it later. Um, Sometimes people taste buds. It's prepared food. It's not the same thing as you do at the house. I can add extra spices, a little cayenne here, a little sesame oil here, whatever I'm adding to my foods to make them taste a little bit better. Sometimes when they're prepackaged, you lose a little bit about that preference for a particular kind of food. I want to have, well, it tasted a little bland to me. Well, if it's tasting bland, chances are I don't want to order it again. I'm not going to finish it if it's bland. Well, you do have access to salt and pepper and some other things. There's no reason why you can't add, a little celery seed or something else to that particular meal. Yeah, well, maybe you have the ability to add a little bit of um, sliced scallions to your mashed potatoes. Maybe you have the ability to add just a little bit of extra cheese, maybe the size of your thumb, cut it up small, dice it, and put it in with something to mix it up. Chia seeds. There's a lot of things you can do to increase the taste, the texture of the foods that you have coming out of a packaged environment. The biggest problem that people have with any kind of diet, Mediterranean, Weight Watchers, Atkins, is that at some point in time, you're going to transition from the diet you're on, Nutrisystems, to the real world or to eating out more often than you did. And yes, you can go to a fast food burger place, get your burger, but tell them don't put the bun on it. I want it. Or as you're eating the bun, rip off most of the bread. You still have a little bit to hold on, but you're cutting back on carbs. Okay, I have mashed potatoes on the plate or rice on the plate or something else on there, a little bit of pasta. I don't have to eat everything that's on the plate. Portion off part of it. That's what you're going to have. Tell yourself ahead of time, I am going to enjoy this meal at the level I choose. That, in other words, you're focusing in on just having a certain amount. You can always take it home, but you're switching from what you were very structured in portion control and nutrient composition to the real world. Hopefully, you've learned a little bit about how much do I need of each. And just because they serve you more doesn't mean that you have to eat it all. But it does mean that if you paid for it, maybe you might want to take it home. Maybe you might want to donate it to somebody else. There's a lot of things you can do. Um, the reliance on processed foods, I don't think, if I had to give a thumbs down on any part of this diet, it's the packaged foods because of the stuff they put in there to preserve it and keep going. It'd be much better if you were able to substitute the whole foods you can buy at the store from what you're getting in the packaged foods. And maybe that should be the very first thing you do at the end of 90 days is how can I duplicate this particular meal at the store when I buy everything whole and fresh? To me, that would be a plus, plus, maybe 3 thumbs up. The other thing people have a problem with over time is monotony. It's just they're eating the same thing over and over again. I remember one trip we took to Europe. We were there with my wife, her sister, and her husband. And we were there for a couple of weeks. I love pasta. I was eating pasta for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I had no problem with it. I love spaghetti. Uh, they started out with pasta, a little bit of pizza, and it seemed like by the end of the third day, they couldn't stomach having the same thing 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row. Uh, Sometimes we have a problem with the 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 sameness or the opposite of that. We have to have something different. But that is a personal preference. So if you're looking at a diet, choose something that you know you can stick with. If you can't eat cruciferous vegetables, I prefer not to eat them. Don't order them. Don't order anything with them. If you're going to the restaurant and that's what's there, what else can you have instead of that? So there are things in that. But as you're starting to look at, did this thing work for me? If it did, great. Why would I want to sabotage myself 6 months after I finish the Nutrisystem diet by now going out and picking out with everything I used to eat before I ever started the diet? So there's a lot of things with any kind of diet is that you want to be able to meet your goal. If that goal was to lose weight, lose inches, become healthier, lower your blood pressure, whatever the goal was at the beginning of your lifestyle change, where you went from I wasn't paying attention to what I was eating, to I'm going to eat this particular diet program plan for the next, I'm going to say 90 days. I think that if you go on a diet for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, you're kidding yourself because you're not giving your body a full amount of time to shift from the level of basal metabolic response that you're getting to everything you're eating, all the food you're getting, the stress levels, everything else you were getting in your life. Now all of a sudden you change. You're over here. You have different toxin levels. You have different calories. You have different salt, different sugars. There's a lot of things that change, and your body needs time to adapt. 30 days minimum. In reality, anything less than 30 days, your body, even though you might like, okay, I lost 14 pounds. Well, your body still hasn't fully adjusted to that new way of eating. So pick a date, put it on the calendar, and get an accountability partner. If I was going to say, hey, Dr. Jacalyn, how about I'm going to go on this Nutrisystem diet? Can I call you once a week and check in and just tell you where I stand? Now, all of a sudden, I put the onus on me. I'm accountable to somebody else to say, well, I started out here 200 pounds. Week one, I'm at 194. That's pretty good. 6 pounds. I like that. Week number two, I'm at 192. Well, I lost 2 pounds in 7 days. I lost 6. What's going on? That plateau happens, and it is accepted. That's what it is. Okay, on week three, hey, Dr. Jacalyn, I'm down another pound. Well, that's not very encouraging. But if all of a sudden I'm now at 6 weeks and I'm now down 16 pounds because all of a sudden I got through that doldrum, that plateau. Now I'm a little bit happier telling somebody what I'm doing because I'm seeing results. You don't have to measure your results on a scale. Maybe you just measure, I lost a half inch around my waist. My belt feels a lot comfortable at that notch. Lots of ways of saying that. But sometimes you just want to say, Dr. Jacalyn, I had some problems this week. I went off the diet for 2 days. I had to. Okay, fine. You got that all. You're not hiding it. It's out there. Sometimes that accountability partner is what you need because that is something that's going to keep you on that program for the next 30, 60, or 90 days. So given that overall, yeah, I'd give two thumbs up to Nutrisystems. I don't have a problem with that. I think the one aspect that is an issue with me is the cost. I would rather buy the fresh whole foods than the packaging. But again, that's my personal preference on that. I buy all my own foods. I prep everything. I cook everything. That's one of the things I've been doing for years and years and years. I really enjoy. It sounds crazy. I enjoy the mise en place. I enjoy the food prep. I enjoy the cooking. I actually enjoy the washing of the dishes. Believe it or not, that's one thing I really and truly love to do. Everything's done. Let's get everything cleaned up. Boom. That is an attitude change from the 80s when I didn't do that to now all of a sudden I've taken and put my arms around it. And I learned that from my father-in-law. Great cook, did all the prep, did all of that stuff. His wife helped a lot, but he cooked and everything was on the table. It was hot. It was good. But we're in the kitchen. We're in the family room. We're somewhere else. And he's in the kitchen cleaning up for the next half hour, 45 minutes or an hour, making sure everything is spick and span. And that resonated with me as, okay, I buy the food, I prep it, I cook it, and then I'll allow is probably not the best word, but somebody else cleans up. Well, I made the mess. I should make sure that everything is as clean as it possibly can be. So I just stopped. Okay, I'm going to buy, prep, cook, clean, boom. But all ends from the store to putting the last dish in the shelf. That's what I adopted, and I've been doing it now for a good couple decades or more. And it's again, it's a mindset. But regardless, with our week look at Nutrisystem, I think you pretty much have a good idea what the pros and cons are. And I don't know what we're going to be talking about next week. Dr. Jacalyn and I will get together and we'll talk about 2 or 3 of them, figure out which one makes a lot of sense. And we'll get up here and next week we'll be talking about another diet. But until then, I want to make sure that you all have a chance to subscribe to the USA Global TV and Radio Network. Easy to get to, usaglobaltv.com. Go in there and subscribe. Lots and lots and lots of different programs, almost 40 options you can choose from on a weekly basis. We're here to share information, make people aware, or provide awareness, provide education, provide entertainment, provide a lot of things. And the USA Global TV and Radio Network is one of the best around. It's very truly worldwide, and we're seeing the audience just ziggy up. So with that, again, this is Red O'Laughlin on Food and Our Emotions on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And I'm signing off for this week, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care. Bye.
Hello, I'm children's author Diane Floyd Bain, and I am co-host for several of the USA Global TV and radio shows. I joined because of the purpose of the USA Global TV and radio. They provide content for the viewers and listeners, an opportunity for people around the world to have their own show or even be a guest on an existing show. We truly believe in helping others get their positive message out to the world. We also have the opportunity for the listeners. You can watch on several platforms, and on YouTube, you can ask questions and even give a comment. We absolutely love it. I love being part of the USA Global TV and radio because I love positive messages, and who doesn't? And we need more of that in the world. We are a family, and we hope you will join us and become part of the family too.
This program is brought to you in part by the British School of Excellence and founder, Mr. Philip Sykes. Building confidence, changing lives. Do you share our view that etiquette is a set of modern life skills that are essential for personal and professional success? Join us as an etiquette coach and change people's lives through the power of etiquette and manners.
The last few days have been really amazing. I had a trainer course from the British School of Etiquette.
And I must say it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made and one of the best investments I've made in my own training and development.
Now, words alone will not describe the transformation and the positive path that I have traveled with the British School of Etiquette.
I found I learned a lot from the lessons this time I came.
The last few days with the British School of Etiquette have been fantastic.
And what I've learned now is really beyond my expectations.
This is the most rewarding experience and the best investment I have made this year.
It was just great. I learned so much, and when I go back to Belgium I will incorporate a lot of it into my day-to-day life and business.
It's been absolutely wonderful for the whole week that we were here.
I feel transformed, and I feel like blowing a trumpet and tell people, come and do this school, this class is the best, this is the best school ever.
You should take it. It will change your life immediately.
I am now able to teach other people how to bring the best of them.
Thank you.
Thank you, BSc.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to our clients for their testimonials on the Train the Trainer program. Our exponential and global growth is so significant that we've evolved from the British School of Etiquette to the British School of Excellence, where we're investors in people. Let us invest in you and your career. Contact us to become an etiquette coach. Go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. Start your career and elevate your success today.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Caruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating warm memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Abella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Abella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Abella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.